Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics. What kind of man are you anyway? I'm talking comics and you bring up chicks and romance?
Guys, what is going on? Look at that. I got the intro to properly throw us over to the actual webcams for once, right? We were having that weird little issue where it would just throw us to a blank screen. I fixed it. And with that fix, we are also pretty on time. No audio issues that I can see, no connection issues. We are also streaming right now to a brand new platform. We are also streaming to Twitch. So if you guys enjoy, watching your stuff on Twitch, if you got a Twitch membership over a YouTube one, you can watch us over there. As you guys might notice, it is Thursday night. We are live. I am here. I am Mav. I am your host. It is time. I am here for another foil variant, your spot every week for intellectually honest comic book talk. As you guys might notice, I am alone today as our boy. We know him, we love him. You're definitely gonna miss his succinct summarization of my words, but Andrew is currently over at SpaceCon with Caro and the rest of the Rippa crew, just exhibiting, showing off all the goods that they have coming down the pipe. Which, speaking of, one of the goods they do have coming down the pipe, which I feel obligated to remind everybody at every moment or at every possible turn in every show, is, drumroll please, Oh no, I have the, hold on, I can get out of this. I don't need the Andrew one. Where is it? Where's just mine? I think, there we go, but that's not gonna work. Let's see. As I was saying, where is that stuff? Where is my... Oh, okay, there we go. I got the right one now. But yeah, guys, as always, not as always, but as I was saying, go pre-order Arcstream Fall Start. The window is rapidly closing on that. We are, what is it, like a month and 10 days? A month and a half almost, right? As of yesterday, away from the closing for this, pre-order window. So go grab it. Go grab your, your foil covers, your retro covers, all of that fun stuff. It's Arcstream. It's Andrew. You've heard us talk about it. Get your own hands on it. And in case you forget, I will remind you guys as always at the end of the show. And we have the link currently pinned in the YouTube chat, bringing it up right there for everybody to see. So yes, with Andrew out today, you have another Mav Solo episode of Foil Variant tonight. But just because we don't have Andrew doesn't mean we don't have things to talk about. We actually have a lot of good releases, a lot of developments, a lot of news to talk about this week. So I'm pretty excited to hang out with all of you guys. And of course, if you guys saw any of the, preview tweets or the video description, you'll know that with Andrew gone, it's almost serendipity, right? Because Andrew is gone this week, but we also got the full preview set for the Marvel Magic the Gathering set. So I get to talk about it. Don't worry, I'm not going to sit here and go through cards and strategies. I'm not going to talk about it from a card game angle. I'll definitely be talking about it from a... Whoops, that is just... that's the wrong one. I'll be talking about it from a comic book angle, but it's a lot of fun. I think there's going to be a lot of cool things to talk about there. We also have, in terms of the week's new releases, we have Absolute Catwoman, of course, which I know a lot of people were waiting for. This book was so... how do I put this? This book was so anticipated that I literally showed up at my LCS on Wednesday and I had to park far back in the parking lot, and there were already people like swarming the door. It was, and by swarming, I mean like, 5, 6 people, not like a Black Friday crowd. But I was texting Andrew. I was like, dude, why is this? Like, why is my LCS packed today? Of course, it was Absolute Catwoman. That's what, I even confirmed that with my cashier friends who were up at the front. So we'll definitely talk about the newest big DC release. We've also got some Marvel books to talk about. Nothing particularly great. I don't know if that's going to be of a surprising description to anybody, considering, the current state of Marvel, all the conversations we've had week upon week upon week. But we've got some Marvel books to talk about. We have Avengers Armageddon finally kicked off, the latest big bad Marvel event. I also want to bring up this week's issue of Daredevil because it's very, very curious. Oh, give me 1 second. I got to fix something behind me. Whoop. I bet you guys could all see me like noticing up there. Like, I got to fix that. So, all fixed with that. But yeah. Daredevil. Very, very weird. And we'll talk about it. I can't give away too much before we get into the issue. To that point, I do want to make a quick correction because I can't believe how stupid Andrew and I have been for the last couple weeks. For the last couple weeks, we have been, we've sung the praises of Marvel writer Stephanie Phillips. She did the Imperial War She-Hulk miniseries. She's the current writer for Daredevil. She's good, but we fucked up in our fanboyness and we misattributed a lot of her work or a lot of the work of the writer Erica Schultz, who did the Black Widow Venomous stuff that Andrew and I always praise. We attributed a lot of her work to Stephanie, and that was an accident. That's our bad. Just as the like the deep comic book dork that I am, I have felt bad about it for like a week ever since it dawned on me. So there, asterisk. What do you call it? Transparency, right? From journalism. I know it's rare, but I aim to deliver, right? So we'll talk about all of that, and of course, whatever else is on your minds. But with all that said, I don't really have anything to talk about with Andrew. There's no checking in with Andrew. I guess I can show you guys. I have to come clean. I feel so dirty, right? Avengers Armageddon isn't good. Like, it's not. And we all know how Marvel events go these days, and we'll get more into it as we go into the show. But I still bought a copy. And even worse, guys, I bought 2. Because, if you guys remember, it comes with that Ryan Stegman illustrated foil Marvel card. Magic card. Every single copy of the first print of this book came with it, which I feel dumb about because I thought it was only cover A. But I guess it's every cover, and so now I have 2 cover A's instead of even just getting something remotely more interesting. But I'm a whore, Wizards. You got me. I thought I saw. Is my TV going? I heard something. That was really weird. But look, I know Magic is in a rocky spot right now, and I know Marvel even more so. But I'm only a man, right? I am only a man, and when it comes to putting Marvel characters on Magic cards, I'm a sucker for it. But before we get into any of that, let's say hello to everybody who has joined us tonight to hang out, to chat comic books, starting with Zero Dozer, who says he is here, but he has a flu. Man, I am so sorry. My heart goes out to you. I hate flus. They're just, it feels like you can never do anything about them, right? Like, it truly is one of those illnesses that you just kind of got to let time do its thing. I mean, you can rest and you can take, vitamins and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's not like you can take an over-the-counter pill and you're instantly cured. So my heart goes out to you, buddy, but I'm glad you're here to hang out with us. I hope in the meantime, you're also, distracting yourself by playing video games while listening to me, but maybe even not, because I know, like, when I get sick, it's always that fantasy, right, guys, where you're like, oh, I wish I could get sick so then I can call out of work or school, and then I can, like, hang out all day and I can play video games, I can read comics. And then you just feel like too much shit to do any of that. So you just end up like laying around, maybe watching repeats of TV episodes you've seen before. So yeah, happy to have you, buddy. Heart goes out to you. Feel better. Clone Geek is here. Clone Geek says, did Andrew die? He's dead to me. Okay, he didn't want to show up and listen to me go on and on and on about Magic the Gathering cards. He's dead to me. This is a full solo endeavor now. No, I'm completely kidding. Like I said at the top, he's over at SpaceCon this weekend. If you guys are in the area, if you're checking it out, go say hi, go bug him for me. But yes, happy to have you, Clone Geek. And Clone Geek also says, Firestorm was good. Thank you for reminding me. That's another book I wanted to touch on when we get to the comic book or discussions of the week, because it's weird, right, Clone Geek? I know you and I on issue 2 were both like, this is kind of a sleeper series thing going, like, what's going on? This book is good and it's weird, but there's some things to talk about, some questions, some like I want to get your guys' opinions on a couple things, so we'll definitely talk about Firestorm. There's also a new Supergirl issue that I will touch upon just to bitch, just to complain, because yes, Andrew would complain about Supergirl no matter what. This time I feel personally insulted, so we'll get to it. Let's see. We got Masta. Bro advertising his co-host comic when he's away. You gotta support your bros. Gotta support your bros, your bras, I guess. Your girls, whatever you want to call them. Always support your friends. If you guys have projects, if you've got any of that stuff, always feel free to, tag us on Twitter, share it in the Foil Variant Discord, link in the description below. Let us know, and we'll promo it out here too, but it's also Andrew's show, right? So I feel like it would be a little disingenuous to go like, it's the Mav and Andrew show, and we're not going to talk about him at all. He's actually dead to us, like I was saying to Clone Geek. Let's see. Clone Geek says, did you see Perch's video about his thoughts on the new Avengers run and how it's probably going to be a short era? I haven't seen his video on it. We are going to talk about that this show, though, because obviously we got the announcement that we are getting a new Avengers series, or a new Avengers series. You'll see what I mean. We'll talk about it. It very much feels like trying to recapture lightning in a bottle, and it's not going to work this time. So I agree with him. It's probably going to be short, like most Avengers runs have been, right? I think Jason Aaron's got to 50, maybe 75, I think, maybe. The most recent one only made it to like 30. And before the Jason Aaron run, we were just getting like 10 issue runs or 15 issue runs or like 5 issue miniseries. So it was a very wonky place for the Avengers. And to that end, I don't see the upcoming series really changing that. Clone Geek says, was anybody surprised that Armageddon wasn't good? I wouldn't say I was necessarily surprised that Armageddon wasn't good. I think I'm just kind of really stunned by just how absolutely little I care about any of it, right? Like I'm very much getting a dark, like the way I felt when Dark Crisis was coming out, where it was just like, dude, we've done this. Like, you're not even doing anything new with the concept. You're just retreading and retreading and retreading, because this is the stuff that your publisher, like you as a publisher, whether DC or Marvel, are kind of known for. So it gets kind of, it gets weird there, right? So yeah, we'll talk about Armageddon. We'll talk about all of that fun stuff, everything that came out this week as we get into the show. Yeah, guys, I don't really have a good transition, a good lead-in. So how about we talk a little bit of news, a little bit of the week's comic book related events, if you will, before we truly dive into everything. Starting with, and this is going to be a weird one, because I don't think any of you who watch or know me or whatever would guess that this book is the next book that is a book that I'm about to talk about with you guys, right? 1, 2. Oh no, Arcstream. You all expect me to talk about Arcstream. We love Arcstream. We've got all 4 issues on pre-order, right, everybody? But no. The new Mask series that's coming out of Image and Skybound. Yes, I am going to be talking about Mask very briefly, but I'm not going to be talking about the Mask of it all, right? Because Mask was actually before my time. This kind of circles back to a conversation we were having in the Discord earlier in the week, which is shout out to Timon. He'll probably be, whether if he's here already or whether he'll show up later. But Timon brought up like a comparison between like the Thundercats and Silverhawks. And I was just like, I don't know anything about Silverhawks. I didn't even know Silverhawks was a thing until the new comic book started getting published, right? Over at, is it Dynamite, I think, doing them? I can't remember. Or Mad Cave, it might be. One of them. But yeah, I remember, Masta was really taken by surprise because I'll just lay it out here. I'm only 35. I know I'm pretty jaded, you know, and all that. I'm a baby. I'm the baby of pretty much every respective group I've ever been a part of. So things like, Silverhawks and Mask here, these were before my time. I just never really got into it. And then I think I've mentioned this at least over on my own streams and channel. I don't know if I've mentioned it on Foil Variant, but as a kid, I didn't really go for the, I don't know, I guess classic at that point. At that point in history, it was just retro. Things like Transformers G1 or G.I. Joe or Mask or He-Man or any of that stuff, because I grew up in the like very beginning of that anime age, right? That American anime age. So I was seeing flashy, really well-crafted, well-detailed, well-painted and everything, like Gundam, Dragon Ball, all of that stuff. And so I just didn't like watching kind of old stuff. It always was like, oh, this is lame. I think I've told this story. I know I'm pretty sure I have, but I used to hate watching not hate watching, but I used to hate the like Tex Avery Looney Tunes shorts, like the classic Looney Tunes shorts, because as a kid, I would be up late. 1 a.m. rolls around. Oh, hell yeah, it's Toonami time. Yeah, let's Adult Swim, anime. And then you hit like 2, 3 a.m. and it's too early for like a kid to go, like if you get permission to stay up late, right? 3 a.m.'s that weird in between point. So I was like, well, okay, I get to keep watching things and stay up for a couple little like hours longer. And then it just goes to like old Looney Tunes. And like, I like to sing about the moon and the June. And it's just like, as a kid, I was like, I hate this. But that was definitely me just being a brat. I love them now. I think I always did. It was just like, I don't want to watch this right now. I want to watch anime. But oh, hey, look, there is Timon. Yes, Timon. We literally just brought up the fact that I have never seen Silverhawks. That's why I was just shouted you out. I said, hey, shout out to Timon. We were just talking about this with Masta. Yes, I'm definitely a baby, right? Like I'm consistently the youngest in every sort of friend group I've always been in, just by pure chance. I think, did one of you, I think you said it, Masta, where you're like, oh, so you're kind of just like an old soul. And it's like, I'm not necessarily an old soul. I'm a old crotchety soul, right? Like I'm only 35, but I already want to just have my like jug of moonshine and like my shotgun and just be like, get off my porch with your Miles Morales and your Spider-Gwen and your Spider-Boy, right? Like that's how I feel at this point. 3 a.m. here right now. You fascinate me with your schedule, Masta. You're always doing stuff. You're up at random hours. I know you're over there in Greece, so I hope you're up at 3 a.m. for fun, for a good reason. I hope I'm not keeping you up, but either way, I'm very happy to hang out with you, buddy. Very happy to see you on your like 4th or 5th handle at this point. Either way, happy to have you. Oh shoot, where did all of Timon's comments go? Did I just hide them by accident? Well, Timon's here. That's weird. I just had them up. Very, very odd. But Timon's here. Yes, exactly, Timon, on that same bent of Silverhawks, and all that. I don't know anything about Mask. So all of this revival that's been going on, I know they've been teasing it for a little bit, and maybe there was like a one-shot or two over the years, but now it looks like they're finally going full throttle with their Mask revival. That's going to be part of the whole Skybound Void Rivals, which is, Transformers and G.I. Joe, and basically all the like 80s, very early 90s toy commercials are being grabbed up and put into like this universe. And I have nothing wrong with that, or like I have nothing against that. We can all acknowledge that a lot of these things all started out as commercials for toys, but that doesn't, negate what people were able to build or get out of it or, create upon from there. We could look at comic books, for example, right? They were literally created, as Andrew and I bring up all the time, as like nickel amusements for children to just grab and throw away. And yet, somewhere down the line, we got our Grant Morrisons, our Alan Moores, our Stan Lees, our Jerry Conways, right? Who went, okay, this is that medium, but that doesn't mean it just has to be that. We can push it a little bit, right? Like we can do more with this. So I'm all for it. Enjoy it if you guys do. I've heard all the Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff is good. I just haven't dove in yet. And I think it's because I really only like the Transformers. I don't really care about G.I. Joe really at all. But anyway, I bring up this Mask comic because, as you guys can see here, this issue released this Wednesday. It was yet another blind bag release. The industry loves them. They're going to be going all in on them now. Andrew and I have been lamenting them for weeks upon end. There's no stopping it. The best compliment I can give to this release scheme is that Marvel, at the very least, has started to do what Andrew and I were hoping, right? Which is, if you buy a blind bag, or rather, let me set this up. So when Marvel started their blind bag stuff with like Ultimate Endgame and Daredevil #1, you could buy those books and, there were exclusive covers you could only get in there. Foil variants, foil virgins, exclusive headshots drawn of like the Ultimate characters by artists like Pete Momoko or Mark Bagley or Marco Cicchetto. But you could also just as easily get like a cover A, a cover B, a cover, like the easy retail ones. And that to us felt really slimy. Thankfully, Marvel has decided that's bad. And now if you buy a blind bag, their blind bag offerings are exclusive. So like if you pick up a blind bag, there's like its own batch of covers that you'll get. You know what I mean? So if you buy a blind bag, you're at least getting something exclusive, even if it's not the big shebang one. So the reason I bring up the Mask blind bag today is because in the blind bag, there were a bunch of random inserts, a couple surprise inserts thrown into some of the bags, specifically 2 issues of like the #1s, #0s of new comics. One is a Mask origin series written by Robert Kirkman himself, Mr. Walking Dead, Mr. Skybound, creator, CEO. Might be cool if you're into that. I have no attachment to Mask, so I don't really care. The second, however, was Rom. And I'm kind of excited about this. So it is now Image's turn to use the Rom character. For those of you who don't know, Rom was started as a sort of space intergalactic toy line by Parker Brothers way back in the 80s. And they originally contracted with Marvel to do a whole line of Rom comics. And it was prominent. The Marvel Rom comics went for a long time. They were really beloved. They're pretty good, or good in the sense that like they're a lot of comic book fun, right? You're not getting your graduate thesis here, but you're going to have fun reading all of those. Rom even, fell under that umbrella of like Doctor Who and Transformers, where he sometimes appeared in various crossovers. Other Marvel heroes hung out with him. Created by Bill Mantlo, the guy who did Rocket Raccoon, right? So eventually, rights lapse, all of that. IDW got the license for a little bit. And they tried, I think in like the 2000s to do something. Never took off. Marvel recently got the license back to do reprints of like their omnibuses and stuff. And now it looks like Skybound has the license to ROM. So we'll see, right? I have no idea if it's going to be good. I don't know what their aims of it are. I haven't read it, obviously, because there's only like a handful of them out there right now. but I think it's cool. I think the idea of Rom, like I like Rom as a character. I like him as a setting and all that. I also like him as sort of a piece of medium trivia, like comic book medium trivia, where, you know, like he's gone through so many different publishers, but he's still the same character. He's still trying. People still love him. And I don't know. I think there's something cool about that. It reminds me a lot of the, what's her name? Mantis, right? When Mantis was created for Avengers and then she went to DC and then it was a whole mess and everything. I kind of like fun stuff like that because it kind of breaks through those barriers of corporatism, of law that we unfortunately have to exist in, right? Like copyright and all that legal stuff to just do fun things. So I think a ROM revival would be cool. This is probably the best team to do, or like the best studio to do it, is the Skybound team. Robert Kirkman's on ROM too, so I don't know. Might be cool, but a very, very much not what I expected to see this Wednesday. Let's see. We got Punk. Buenos noches. I got done watching the Earth, Wind, and Fire doc on HBO Max before I came here. Hey, I hope you enjoyed it. I didn't even know they had a documentary up over on HBO Max. Timon, are you deleting your comments? Because I keep seeing them, and then they like get taken away. But maybe that's just YouTube being really stupid, or the whatchamacallit, the plugin I use to get it to send over here to my chat. Yeah, because I can see it all on YouTube, but then I go over here in my whatever. Anyway, what were you asking? Does it do calm? I don't think so. And then Mask is just American's first attempt at Sentai. Centurions and the Bionic 7 were next. I feel like Centurions has to be up. Like I know you're saying like next in the sense of like when they were produced as cartoons, but I think Centurions is probably next due for like this kind of revival. Hell, it might be the next Skybound revival. We shall see. Alrighty. With that little bit of fun news out of the way, guys, do you want to talk a little Supergirl movie really quick? Because a very interesting admission just came out from the director, and I've been laughing about it all afternoon, because if you watched last week's episode, this is literally what I was predicting to Andrew, like to a T. To that end, goodbye Rom, hello Polygon, who they recently had a interview with the director of Supergirl, Craig Gillespie, and he basically said he didn't like the Tom King story, Woman of Tomorrow. He didn't look at it, essentially. Here, I'm just going to read the quote. So he's being interviewed by Polygon ahead of the film's release, and he told them, quote, "I very deliberately started with the script that what's her name? I forget her name, like Nascenti, I think, wrote. And I put together a lot of visuals around that coming from the script, trying to make something that I would be excited about and that had this grit and flavor of the Supergirl character, Kara. After that, I went back and visited Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow and took some images from that. But I didn't want to start there because I didn't want to just do the comic book," end quote. I don't know about you guys, but that is exactly what I wanted to hear. And that's what I was predicting last week, because if you watch the latest trailer, you see a lot of, the very basic beats. You got Ruthie, you got what's his name, Crag or Crawl or whatever that stupid bad guy is named. You have those elements, but you don't have, there wasn't a lot of that brooding. There wasn't a lot of that, very over the top drama, melodrama. And that's what made me ask Andrew, like, do you think with this trailer that Gunn basically just said, okay, use that as like a visual basis and then went from there? And Gunn maybe, I don't know how much role he had in this, but it's clear that, that's at least where the director Gillespie was going. I'm sure Anna, she has taken, she probably read the book and she probably built her script on that book. but again, her doing an adaptation and then Gillespie going like, I'm not going to really read the book, I'm going to go off of your script. You're getting like 2 degrees of separation of telephone. I think I'm very, very excited. I think I can say that Tom King, the Tom King of it all, is very much not going to be in play here, right? The Woman of Tomorrow of it all is very much just a base aesthetic and a base plot thread. That's even what I told Andrew last week. I was like, did he just pick Woman of Tomorrow because it's like, did Gunn just pick Woman of Tomorrow because it has that built-in cute, adorable animal sidekick, you know, gets injured, gets hurt, you know, tugs at the heartstrings moment that we know James Gunn is such a fan of? All signs are starting to point to yes. So movie's coming up soon. I believe it's June 26th. So 2 weeks from tomorrow, we have new Supergirl, and I'm hopeful. Everything more and more just makes me more hopeful for this movie. But I wanted to share that because I would hope that also inspires a little bit of hope in the rest of everyone as well. Because even if you didn't like Superman, I don't think you would want to wish like a pure Tom King adaptation of anything on like your worst enemy. Tom King was a writer, like direct writer on Lanterns. And we've all seen how that preview material has been coming out, how it's being received, how it's kind of completely missing the mark. So, yeah. Let's hope Supergirl is good, because I would very much hate for the DCU to already be over thanks to Tom King's nonsense. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean? All right. That's all I have to say about the Supergirl movie. Andrew and I will probably do a like right out of the theater review of it over here on Foil Variant. But yeah, we'll probably hear more about that in 2 weeks from now. All right. Now, here's the part where I get to have fun. One more news story before we jump into the week's books. And it's exactly what you guys think it's going to be. Oh, we got to go to the full page. So, Marvel x Magic the Gathering. That is right, guys. After the Spider-Man set, Wizards of the Coast is continuing their partnership with Marvel for a second Marvel set, a second of 6, because they're doing one for each Infinity Stone. First set was Spider-Man. This set is Avengers, or rather Marvel superheroes in a generality, right? So this is, like I said at the top, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to go, oh, look at this card, this is going to be great in this deck. You know, I'm not going to be talking about Iskay or Izzet or Celiana or the stack or any of that stuff, right? That's over for Mav streams. That's for Good Mav Ugly. I did want to bring up this set though, because while there are a lot of valid criticisms to be thrown towards, you know, kind of everybody involved in this decision, from Wizards of the Coast making their game so universes beyond crossover heavy, to Marvel licensing the stuff out, engaging in this partner. Like, it's just, I can see how it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And there are a lot of complaints we could, have about it. That being said, going through the set and seeing all the card reveals, I still have to, just like I did with the Spider-Man set, and just like I did with, there was another crossover. Hold on, just like I did with Final Fantasy, right? I have to give Wizards credit, or at least the character, like the card design team, like card selection, card art, character choice, like I want to say card designer, but I'm not talking about the people who do the effects and stuff. I'm talking about the people who actually choose which characters are we going to use, what illustrations, that sort of stuff. Because when I first heard that we were doing multiple Marvel sets, and I learned that this one was just going to simply be called Marvel Superheroes. I'm sure, like most of you out there, right? Like, I immediately felt dread that, oh God, we're going to get MCU stuff. Not necessarily like MCU, like inspired, like not Chris Evans on a card, but Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Black Widow, Miss Marvel, like things like that. Which, while of course I would love a Steve Rogers card or a Thor card or whatever, I'm here for comic books. That to me is what Marvel is. And when we're talking in the conversation of universes beyond and magic and like what's appropriate for the game, like Final Fantasy super works, The Hobbit super works because they're like fantasy settings already, swords and magic. To me, superhero, like DC and Marvel is probably as far as I would say makes sense for a like fantasy game crossover, because we've had not only are like comic books and like fantasy RPGs and books, like that culture is so intertwined together. Look at Conan, look at, what's his name? Oh my God, who am I? It's Conan. Oh my God, there's like another barbarian guy and I can't, Khazar. Oh my, Conan, Khazar, Red Sonja. And, there have been multiple times where comic book characters have gone into the past or they've become knights. Like, that doesn't seem to me out of the complete ordinary for Magic the Gathering. Like, personally, for me, once you start getting into, like, modern... I wish they would avoid the modern day of it all, right? And by that, I mean, like, I don't like how in... Like, we're about to get Star Trek, which is all futuristic-y, and then we had, like, Walking Dead, which was, like, shotguns and, like, ammunition from the real world and motorcycles, and it just... I know Marvel was going to have a lot of that because of the setting, but I also don't... I think you could do... These Marvel sets can do without the direct, like, hey, remember we're in the real world type cards. The Spider-Man set, for example, had a hot dog cart card and a bagel and schmear card, which is like, this is just a lame, like, that's not even fun. That's just lame. So you don't have to do those cards and you can still put them in New York like this, right? But I bring up the set tonight because I really want to highlight how the designers here know fucking ball, guys. Like, there are cards they've made, there are sets and things they've done in this set that I would have imagined only like me or Andrew would have remembered or wanted to do. So I figured with all the cards having been revealed, let's go through some of the highlights, if you will, of some of the cards and decisions I thought are probably the most impressive, if you will, the most like, really? Damn. Let's see. Timon said Momoa looks fat in the trailer for Supergirl. I can't tell if he's like looking fat, bulky, like fat muscly, or if that's just like the coat. Because all those scenes with Momoa are like in the dark and he's like moving around. So we got to wait for the whole high resolution screenshot, yada, 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 all that fun stuff. Masta says, oh, but they described Kara as pessimistic and stuff. Well, she's not pessimistic, right? If the whole crux of what Kara's character is in that movie is if Superman believes wholeheartedly in the good in everyone, Kara's just more cynical. And if you read, a Supergirl comic going all the way back to, around Crisis, whatever volume that was, I think like 2, that's always been sort of Kara. She's always been a little more temperamental, a little more human about these things. So in the Tom King story, that's where Kara gets like nihilistic and like uncharacteristic of herself. In the movie, I'm not getting the vibe that she's going fully down that way yet. right? I really truly think in the movie the vibe is going to be like she's a little more abrasive to people, but kind of has to learn to let that go. Like let go of the past of Krypton blowing up and things like that, right? Let's see. Shinkai. Hey, Oh, well, first off, Nexian, what's going on, buddy? Happy to have you watching. I feel like it's been a couple weeks. And we have Shinkai, my man. Always a pleasure. Feels like it's been even longer, even though I know I just chatted with you. Shinkai says, the continuation art looks neat. Kind of reminds me of Vagabond manga's spine covers. Yeah, so that is why I highlighted this piece. I thought this was a good sort of sampling of what we're getting out of this piece. With, I know they did it for Lord of the Rings, and I know they did it for Spider-Man and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and some for Final Fantasy, but this is what we call a scene set, which is, as it's pretty self-explanatory, it's just a full connecting set of cards that you can use individually, but if you stack them all together, they make a full piece of art, which I am a giant fan of, because to me, it's very reminiscent of the like trading cards we used to get as kids, like in the 90s, where, you know, you would collect a piece of like the 9 square bigger artwork or whatever. So massive fan of this, massive fan of them using it for a comic book related thing. And yeah, as I was saying, as my point to this all is, the designers went super deep cutting here, right? And like, this is more a celebration of Marvel than it is like, oh, we just want a cheap cash grab. We know everybody likes the MCU. We're going to grab it, right? So first up, the biggest surprise is that all of the Young Avengers have cards, right? Like speed up to speed, and not just like one card, but they've all, oh, did I do it out of order? Where is it? They've got 2, like each of them have 2, except for Kate and Speed, who don't have 2, but they appear on other cards. So like they're very prominent. And this is crazy considering that look, I love that original 2005 Brian K. Vaughan, right? That's who it was. I'm pretty sure. Wait, was that who it is? Let me double check. Hold on. I'm going to feel dumb if that's not who it was. It was Alan Heinberg. That's who it was. I don't know why I said Brian K. Vaughan. That original 05 Alan Heinberg Young Avengers miniseries, or like run, one of my favorites of Marvel ever, right? Like it is just so good. It's how you should handle things like legacy characters and, you know, team destructions, and it's just so good. But in recent years, Marvel's leaned into the Marvel Now version of the Young Avengers, which is just all of our teenage heroes. So you get really bad lineups like, you know, Miss Marvel and like it's basically the Champions. And I don't really have an affinity for those characters, because all of those characters were like old Young Avengers original and Young Avengers new are perfect examples of sort of like how to do new characters, right? Because Young Avengers old, you get to know them. They introduce them and they say, we know you don't like them yet. We're gonna build, here we go, come with us. In the new ones, it's kind of like, oh, everybody, you all know these characters, so you're gonna like this book. And it's like, well, that's not really. I just know that they exist, right? All right. On that same note, the Runaways got a fucking set, right? Like speaking of like their predecessors, if you will, the Young Avengers predecessors got their own set of cards, which is crazy considering that. Hold on, I'm just making sure. That's where I mixed it up. Brian K. Vaughan did the Runaways. Okay, yeah. Considering that the Runaways haven't, Runaways, an amazing story from the early 2000s, kind of wrapped up on its own. After it did, Marvel keeps trying to go back to the concept, but there's just not more story to tell with this idea of them, right? For those who don't remember, the Runaways, all of them, their parents were not super villains, but like, well, super villains, but not like big famous ones. They, you know, some of them were in the mafia. They were contracting with the Skrulls, things like that. And so the Runaways run away together to try and stop their like family from, or their parents and stuff, from sacrificing the world to a bunch of like evil ancient gods. And so on and so forth. They, you know, struggles, adventure, they beat them. Then we have another arc where they kind of like got to find out what to do on their own now that that's all over. And then, you know, ideally, you got to show them like growing up, going out. They can still be a team, but we've got to change the dynamic. Unfortunately, Marvel just keeps wanting to go, oh, teenage misfit characters. Let's make them teenage misfit characters. And it's like, Nico Minoru should probably be like a Scarlet Witch level magician now. But you keep doing the Miles Morales thing where you just want her to be that young, marketable thing, so we don't get any development. It's awful. Timon says, would you frame the cards like this? It all depends if how I, you know, what sets I have right now, because, you know, gotta be economical, but I just have like basic frames. You know, you buy it from Michael's, 5 cards, whatevs. But I do ideally want to do like a really nice like floating wall display of maybe all of my favorite Marvel cards and all that stuff. Timon says, I know they exist, but I wish I didn't. I'm sorry, man. I love the Runaways. And at the very least, they existed in that period where if you didn't want to read about the Runaways, you didn't have to read about the Runaways. They were all self-contained. Let's see. Shinkai says, what's more bizarre? You know what? I'm going to answer that in a little bit, Timon or Shinkai. I'm going to save it until we're off of Magic, just because we're in the middle of it. But I do want to answer that. And like, to be like, I'm super excited that Carolina got a card. She's my favorite from the Runaways. And yeah, she's a crazy good one too. And I'm excited to build with her. So then, yeah, our Young Avengers, the Great Lakes Avengers, like not just Squirrel Girl, who of course was going to get a card with her recent popularity boom in Marvel Rivals and all that sort of fun stuff. Oh, hold on. My dog wants to go out the room. Go. Go. There you go. Good girl. You're good. Woocha. Yeah, so we all expected like Squirrel Girl to make an appearance. But Big Bertha, Doorman, Flatman, Mr. fucking Immortal? This is genuinely crazy work to me. Like, I was so stunned when I saw like the Big Bertha card. Just no way. From there, we also got not just the Squadron Supreme, but we also got a card for the Squadron Sinister, who were like the evil versions of them that were first introduced. And this is what I mean. Whoever is designing these cards over there knows fucking ball, because they're not just going Bucky and Cap and Bucky and Sam and Hulk, right? Like, we have a freaking Zarda Power Princess card. I know I'm probably one of maybe 3 people who actually cares about her, but damn if that doesn't make me excited. Her and Hyperion, right? Pardon me. Woof. Next up, Timon, I know you're going to at least like this one, because all of the Thunderbolts, the OG Thunderbolts, got cards. And I forgot to add it to the graphic, but even more surprising, guys, is Songbird's like wrestling outfit, like the female wrestling outfit she was a part of before she became a Thunderbolt when she was screaming Mimi. They have their own card. Like, if you'd have made a bet with me and just said, what do you think if Magic the Gathering is making a Marvel set, who's going to get a card? None of these people would have been on my list. Maybe Songbird, and maybe in a very big, like, I'm taking a swing here, Citizen V. But I would have probably said, like, Zemo, who also has his own cards, right? But, like, I want to build a Thunderbolts deck now. And yes, while those teams and stuff are kind of, they're obscure, but they're known, right? You know, Young Avengers, Runaways, Thunderbolts. I really mean it when I say that this set digs deep into Marvel lore. This is a selection of 7 cards I grabbed, but these are insane cuts into Marvel lore. Like, we have a Gorilla Man card. We have a D-Man card. Like an actual D-Man card. The King Solomon's Frogs. Do you guys even remember what that is? I only remember because I recently was reading a bunch of Jack Kirby stuff. It's from all the way back in like the OG Black Panther. Like 1960s Black Panther. They're time travel devices. And they've been used like 5 times throughout the entirety of the 616. It's nuts. That Arcane Signet for the Fantastic Four Commander deck, it's freaking Darla Deering putting her Thing rings together to become She-Thing. Bovine Intervention reprint has the Skrull Kill Crew, right? The Skrulls who were turned into cows by the Fantastic Four, who were then ground up into meat, eaten by people who then got their DNA and became Skrulls, formed like an assault unit called the Skrull Kill Crew. Hero in Training has the freaking Avengers Academy kids who I don't remember the last time I saw any of them. I feel like I saw Hazmat somewhere in some crossover. But that's about it, right? Like that's a good series. If you guys haven't read Avengers Academy, go read it. Like, hands down, easiest recommendation ever. And then that Fabled Passage, that one in particular blew my mind because that right there is from the, oh God, is that, yeah, the Mark Waid, Mike Wienergo run on Fantastic Four. And that is the scene where the Fantastic Four open the door, like, they come into our real world and they meet God, like the one above all, who is Jack Kirby. And like, they talk to Jack Kirby and he tells them, it's one of the best scenes in a Fantastic Four, like, let alone a Marvel comic book. And I cannot believe they dug in for that. So, like I said, just insanely deep cuts that make me like, this just makes me geek out as a Marvel fan, right? Even if I didn't play Magic the Gathering, I know I would be sitting here going, I need these cards. Even if I'm just going to sit here and look at them, like, this feels like more love given to the Marvel IP or like the Marvel characters and the stories we love than we've gotten out of Marvel, Marvel comics in God knows how long. Marvel in general, maybe like the first Avengers movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy the levels they've gone for all these cards. And again, I didn't pull up everything that's super obscure or that I could go on trivia rants about, right? We could have a 9-hour stream of me going and breaking down every single Marvel card and geeking out about it. I just wanted to, grab a highlight, show you guys the ball we're dealing with. And again, we always got to remember to give credit where credit is due. Marvel did the Marvel designers did a great, or the Magic designers did a great job picking the cards for this set, for picking the subject matters. And I'm excited. I know it's slop, but it's slop for me. I am the exact pig that this slop was made for. With that, this is, I just wanted to highlight this card, this Blasphemous Act, because I think this is one of the best prints this card has ever gotten. This is a very common card that's used in, decks pretty much across the entire game. The long and short of it is, it costs 9 mana, but it is 1 mana less for every creature that is on the field, your opponents included. Very easy to cast for just 1 red mana. Deals 13 damage to every creature. It's basically a board wipe. And this is like one of the best, like, just Namor choosing to work with the Black Order and destroy the other worlds that are, incursioning on Earth during Infinity. I think that's such a good print. Hold for 1 second, because there is one more thing I wanted to highlight to you guys that I forgot to add to this. Give me 1 second. I know this is what everybody's here for. Whoa. So difficult to do this. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, because I forgot this card, there's no big fancy, background and display for it. But I want to bring everybody's attention to this full art island in the set. As you can see here, the card, it features the champions performing a rescue of a school bus that is about to go over what is that, the George Washington? I don't know the New York bridges very well. But, you can see, so with it being the champions, you can see Viv right there in the front or in the foreground. You can see Spidey back there helping Miss Marvel, who's wrapping her arms around the bus. Ironheart is flying up, in between the cables right there. And Nova is flying in to grab the bus. Now, the reason I bring up this card is because outside of 2 cameo appearances, one being in the funeral issue for Miss Marvel when she died in Amazing Spider-Man and came back literally the next week, and a recent issue of the New Champion series where the new champions fought the old champions, and then it was basically like, oh, yeah, you guys are cool, bye, and that was it. Outside of those 2 appearances by Sam Alexander Nova, this is the first full appearance he's made in 4 years. He was the last in a comic, like fully, in 2022. And that was an Infinity comic. Like, it wasn't even a real on the stands comic. Which is, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I think of that new class, if you will, right? I guess the Champions class, Viv, Vision, and Miles, and Ironheart, and Miss Marvel, and Nova, like, I don't really, out of all of them, I'm cool with Miss Marvel. She's been completely shit on from her, like, original days. She's not the worst character in the world if somebody good is writing her. I'm also okay with Miles when somebody decides they want to use him right, instead of doing the whole thing where Miles is supposed to be like, like he's got to be like 19 at this point, but they're keeping him as 14, and it just doesn't, there's a disconnect there, because we all as readers understand that, like, Miles should be more than this now, but he's not. But all that aside, that was a bit of a tangent. What I was saying is that out of that entire Champions class, I don't know about you guys, I always had the least problem with Nova. Nova felt the most organic. He felt the most, if you wanted to do a legacy, it didn't feel insulting, right? When you got Miles, it was, when we first had Miles in the Ultimate Universe, 1610, I loved it. I thought that was a great little twist on the story, on the narrative. Once they brought him to 616, he just became like Peter, but better, right? And then, yeah, Miss Marvel just deciding, like, oh, I randomly got powers, I'm going to take Miss Marvel's name. Or Ironheart doing the whole, I'm a better inventor than Tony Stark. Like, out of everybody, Sam felt most like kind of a classic hero, where he's just a kid. One day, he gets attacked, like, he discovers that there's a weird helmet in his dad's, like, attic, turns it on, discovers he's the last, like, hero of this, entire corps. Goes on to try and, fulfill his dad's legacy while also trying to look for his dad. We have the twist reveal that, yes, he's a Nova, but he's part of the, the Black Novas, the Black Ops Corps. So then you get the ethical and the moral struggles. And yeah, like, that all feels very classic comic booky and legacy character. And so it's just really weird to me that they so thoroughly abandoned him. Maybe that's a curse, like, related to him being a cosmic character, because we know Marvel really does not give a shit about all their cosmic characters. I mean, most recently, Jonathan Hickman built an entire roadmap for the cosmic side, and they went, issue 1 of this didn't sell 4 billion copies. We don't really care. We're out of here. So, I don't know. It's just so weird. And I just wanted to point that out, that, like, 4 years go by, and now you give him his first appearance on like a Marvel card, on a Magic card. Demon, like everybody on that page. Hold on, let me go back to the other one really quick before we move on. Where did I put it? There it is. Like every single one of these obscure cards, except for maybe the King Solomon's frogs, those appeared in like that recent Terry Dodson drawn Defenders arc from like 2010. But yeah, so Nova's appeared since then. But yeah, like the Scroll Kill Crew, Hazmat, D-Man, all of these things Gorilla Man have had more prominent roles in recent memory than freaking Nova. And I don't know, I just think that is very odd. But that is the highlights I had to share of the Marvel Magic the Gathering set. Obviously, with the set coming out, I'll be talking about it more. This is, I guess, just like a quick little tease. I'll talk more about it at the end. Mav streams, Good Mav Ugly, that is all coming back. It was supposed to come back this week, but it turns out I need to do way more setup and prep work to get everything ready. Next week should be the key, or like next week will be the week. I should be back hanging out with you guys. And with that, we'll have, at the end of the week, the entire set actually releases so we can open cards on camera. Magic the Gathering Arena is going to have Spider-Man and Marvel finally get added to the game. So we'll be playing a lot of that. And yeah, so kudos to the art team, the design team. I don't really know. That's really all I can say about it without getting into a whole full panel discussion about Magic the Gathering and where we are. And considering this is a comic book show, I think we should probably stick to comic books for tonight. What do you guys think? All right. With that, let's see. Timon says, yeah, we need Japanese Toku cards. You know what's weird? What is that game? Union Arena? I think that's what it's called, right? Yeah, like the one, like the crossover one. I believe it's for, hold on, let me check. Union Arena. Yeah. So Union Arena is the Bandai card game that essentially allows you to, like, it's a crossover card game. So you can have a Bleach deck, a Hunter x Hunter deck, there's an Evangelion deck. I have that one. And there is a full Kamen Rider set, like an actual full Kamen Rider set, where I was just looking at it. Let's see. It's a full set. The unfortunate part is, oh no, that's all of it. That's me and Andrew. The unfortunate part here is that it's only in Japan. Like, it is a literal Japan only Union Arena set. And I know this page has a lot of the more new writers, but they've got all the old ones and stuff too. Like, you can start seeing we're getting into Ooh, but yeah, like, I want to, on Discord, if you guys are in the server, again, join us down below, hang out with us, we chat all the time. Or you're like on my friends list and you can, look at my profile. The little like tag, the what do you want to call it? The subtitle I have on my profile is, why isn't there a Kamen Rider trading card game? And it bugs me. Like, it feels so ripe for a card game. I'm sure in the West, there's a whole litany of legal reasons you can't do it. But in Japan, what are we doing? Listen. I was sticking with the cards, all right? You're lucky. I just went through my highlights of the Marvel, or the Magic the Gathering Marvel set. You're lucky. That's all I really have to say, because now we're going to be talking about comic books. You got us at literally the spot where I was about to jump over. Ya bastard. All right, let's see. You know what, guys? Since we're on the bent of Marvel, since we did get an issue that came with a Magic the Gathering card this week, let's jump over to comics, and let's start with Marvel's Avengers Armageddon. Boo, yeah, boo, boo, boo. Andrew says, I just woke up from a mini nap. Oh, have you made it? Where is it? San Antonio, right? For SpaceCon? Did you make it already? I hope so. everybody will be visiting you. I've been directing everybody your booth way this weekend. Yep. So not having a Kamen Rider trading card game bugs me. There's a pun in there somewhere. Well, young grasshopper, maybe you'll find it. But yes, let's leave the amazing world of Kamen Rider and jump into the less impressive world of the current state of Earth 616 in Marvel Comics and the latest big shakeup event, Avengers Armageddon. Where to begin with this? I guess, so written by Chip Zdarsky, this event is being heralded, as most of them always are, but more so than usual, which is going to make sense to you comic book, fans out there in a second. But this is being put forward as like, this is going to change Marvel. Like, oh, this is setting up our future, not just changing like what we're like, changing the direction, but like everything is going to roll out of here for the foreseeable future. 2, Chip Zdarsky has very specifically said that his goal with this book is to bring Marvel sort of back into that direction of having like a unified, almost like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a one-person vision, but just a unified single vision and direction for the line. Specifically, Zdarsky, and he said it like he name drops him all the time, he wants to return to the, like, he thinks that one of Marvel's biggest problems right now is that they don't have a Bendis, right? And as Andrew and I talked about last week, they're not entirely wrong. To that end, actually, this is a very perfect spot. And Andrew, I am so happy you are here for this right now. Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, made it here in one piece, got the booth set up, ate late lunch, fell asleep, and now you're alive for, I'm assuming, probably going to play on your Switch all night while talking to Mary. But, so, Chip's, yeah, like I was saying, Chip's entire goal with this is to get Marvel on a one vision direction. And he's not wrong. And this week we got a very, very prominent example of sort of like we got confirmation that Chip's thesis is entirely on point. Probably more than any other thing we've had before, right? Wow. I can see the vision in this. He's beside Iron Man. I'm going to reach across my webcam and slap you, Shinkai. Like, good, like, you bastard. But, okay. Daredevil number 3. Again, being written by Stephanie Phillips. So far, it's been very exceptionally fine, right? It's nothing revolutionary. We haven't gotten the big meat of it yet. The whole premise is that after having been a lawyer and mayor of New York and Daredevil and all of this stuff, Matt Murdock is now simply teaching a law class at Empire State University. At the same time, a new serial killer or just a new bad guy has shown up to start brutalizing him and tearing his world apart. Hold on. Andrew says, am I retarded? Is Armageddon 616? How is there possibly event line synergy? Spidey is so busy right now. So, yes, Armageddon is 616. And the event line synergy there, this is kind of what Chip, I'll give Chip credit. This is kind of what he's talking about, where think about, how do I put this? The editorial direction of Marvel almost exists in two different realms right now, where there's the big main Marvel bosses going, we need this event, we need this publishing directive. And then you have the lesser, or not lower, but like, the more on the ground teams, the writers, the actual editors, who go, okay, we want to write, we want to do something, but we're also, Marvel is being so evasive and like we have to keep everything small because they keep having all these big plans and they don't want us to play within them because we don't want to mess it all up. Like it feels like the current mindset at Marvel, instead of it being like Bendis, where Bendis would go, okay, secret invasion, we're all gonna go in this direction, make sure your books align with this. Marvel just goes, you're not allowed to be in here at all. And if the writer goes, well, I can, make my story work with Armageddon, I can do this, they're just going to go, we'll get you when we need you. And for an example, and like what I mean by that is if we look at the event lines, right, Andrew? Every event has led into each other pretty much since Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt led into One World Under Doom. One World Under Doom is leading right into Armageddon. And if you take all of that, the narrative makes sense. And you're like, okay, I can follow. But like you said, once you get into the individual books, it feels weird. It feels like like nobody would blame you for thinking, oh, this is in a completely different continuity. Now, Andrew, like, I mean this. Stick around for what I'm about to say with Daredevil at the very least, because I need you to see this. Because I almost held this for next week. But on the topic of how non-unified, how sort of fenced off everyone is in Marvel, issue number 3 of Daredevil. Ta-da! It's time for the requisite Spider-Man cameo to help our sales. In this issue, Spidey shows up. He's talking to Matt about kind of what's going on in his life. If you remember, which I don't expect anybody to have, but let me pull it up real quick. Gotta grab the last issue of Daredevil. Devil de Dar. Not Armageddon. Oh, I didn't open it, that's why. Not Armageddon. But here at the where was it? Yeah, here at the end of the last issue, Matt notices that, the killer, he hears his gait, like he hears the way he steps, and he's like, oh, I gotta go capture him. And when he goes out, he loses his track. Like, he loses his scent, and he's like, wait a minute. The guy, okay, he walked like this, but then he's able to change, he can disguise how he's moving. He knows how to mess with me. And because of that, Matt sort of has a panic attack, and he's like, I can't focus. I don't know what to listen to. And so everything starts coming. He starts hearing everything to the point where he almost gets hit by a truck. And that's when Spidey shows up, and he goes, man, I got you. Don't worry, Matt. You got to be a little more careful there. Where's Daredevil? Opening Daredevil. Matt explains to Spidey, yeah, I don't know what happened to me. The bad guy just got in my head, and I'm losing it. Spidey tells him, Spidey goes, put your mask on. It's time for superhero training. And he tells him, oh yeah, one time my Spidey sense got overloaded and I started reacting to everything. You know what you need to do, Matt? Let me teach you how to shut things out. You focus on one thing instead of everything. Which literally, guys, the reason I make a big fucking stink about this is because in last week's Amazing Spider-Man, we literally had Daredevil hanging out with Peter, teaching him and telling him, oh, you need to, I'm really good at this. You need to take in everything. You need to open up your senses. That is the crux of the entire 2-part arc we just had. And in this one issue of Daredevil, they just completely reverse it. Right? This doesn't make sense to have Matt go, okay, Spidey, we got to train you to open up all your senses, because that's what I had to do, right? That's what Matt says in Amazing. He goes, my senses were so strong that everything felt like it was like knives. I had to wear gloves and socks to sleep, lotion. But then I let it all in, and I learned to accept it and parse it through. And that's how I can, determine how to fight. And here Spidey just goes, tune it all out, or just focus on one thing. You don't need to listen to it all. Which is yes, Andrew. Wait, so Peter is teaching Matt to do to do the opposite of what Matt was teaching Peter last week. I honestly felt like my reality was collapsing around me when I read this page. Because I was this bit. Because it's literally the same characters, nearly the same setup. You know, bad guy is getting the better of me. I need to improve, but I'm not sure how. And oh, here comes my other, you know, red clad New York street level friend to teach me something about our heightened senses. But you can't have both of these lessons, like, they don't correlate. And yeah, like, that's, I almost threw like my computer. I was like, this is insane. Who's working? Like, where are the editors? Where's anybody over there? Right? So Chip's not entirely wrong. That's why I bring up Daredevil, is that the disconnect between what Daredevil is learning from Pete this week and what he was teaching Pete last week is the perfect, like, example of just how disconnected, out of just, like, yeah, disconnected, fenced off, free range, everything is going on at Marvel. And it leads to, you know, for people like me and Andrew, if we ran into something like this on a book we super liked, we would go, that's dumb. That comics though, right? But for a lot of people, they're going to go, but wait, this doesn't help when people go, oh, comic books are confusing to get into. This is half the problem, is that right now, a lot of, especially Marvel, you don't let them talk to each other. There's no team cohesion. You kind of just go, here's where everything is, go. And it's just so embarrassing. Yeah, Matt's got a new superpower, which is sending mixed signals. Andrew says, Marvel, what are we doing here? Marvel needs a head of story group to keep this kind of thing from happening. And I think that is what Chip is angling for with, you know, his recent, because I think he did Blood Hunt, and then I know Ryan North did the One World Under Doom, but I think Zdarsky is attempting to basically what I feel like is that Zdarsky goes, this is what we need. We need that head of story group. You don't want, like, nobody wants to try to do this? Really? Like Thanos, I'll do it myself. Even if I know that, like, I don't think Chip is necessarily angling for, like, I want to be named head of story and get a promotion and be in charge. Like, I don't think he's doing that. I think he's literally just like, this shit's a mess. Like, we really need to clean this up. And if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. So, again, Chip's a very hit or miss writer with a lot of people. But you know, right, like, in the intellectually honest bent of Foil Variant, I have to believe that he still, like, he does love the medium of comics. And to an extent, gets it. Maybe not so much as, like, Scott Snyder, but Chip definitely understands what you need to, like, have a successful comic. Like, he's our generation. He knows this sort of stuff. So whether he is able to pull it off or not, that's the goal he's going in with. And again, as I said at the top, or adding to what I said at the top, rather, I'm not against that. Like we just got done discussing, I'm all for a new head of story group, a new Bendis, bring somebody in there. However, Armageddon doesn't feel like we're doing anything. It feels like we're doing a reboot with the greatest hits. I drew a comparison to Dark Crisis at the very beginning of the show, and I think that's pretty apt, because essentially Armageddon hits on a lot of, like, this is Marvel lore, like big pillar parts of, like, exclusive Marvel lore, which, okay, cool, but we've all been here before. Like, truly have all been here before. So the setup to this series is that, let's see, where's a good, just, I guess it's that first one. So in One World Under Doom, Red Hulk, Thunderbolt Ross, got captured by Doom and his forces when Doom, you know, took over, became Emperor of Earth, and he locked him away because he's like, you're going to be a threat. Ross breaks out, helps lead a revolution within Latveria, but at the very end of it all goes like, well, people are just going to keep threatening. Like, we need to do something. America, basically he goes, America can't be pussies anymore. We got to, you know, lead again. So he injects a bunch of his subordinates with a Hulk serum, And now he has sort of a splinter terrorist group called New America. They have set up in Latveria. They are calling it, I forget what they call it. Oh yeah, Democracy City, New America in Latveria. And so Ross is basically saying, like, the entire crux is that Ross is sick of this. Like, he's sick of all of the world, like, constantly being in danger, in peril, all the citizens, being scared. It's time for America to come in, right? He's very much the jingoistic, brainwashed on propaganda type of American general. And so he says, if we could do it to Latveria, we can do it to the world. And that's what we're going to do. So we do get, how do I frame this? So we get, all of our Avengers and our various teams get together to figure out, like, how are we going to stop Ross this time? And unfortunately, like, the United States government is like, that's what, this is the UN secretary of I forget which one, but she basically tells Reed, like, no superpowered people. If you guys get even close to, New America, right now we're going to go we're going to go fight them. If you get close at all, I'm going to make all superpowered people illegal. Like, the world has to see that humans still are, like, we're dominant here. We still have power here. And all the heroes go, all right, that's fine. Of course, the American armies, the European armies, all the allied armies, they just get ripped to hell and back. And there's literally nobody who can take them down. In the meantime, in the recent Captain America comics, we were introduced to, I forget what his full name is, but Colton, Sergeant Colton, who was essentially the 2001 Captain America, enlisted in the U.S. Army right in the wake of 9/11, thought he was going to go help his country, got subjected to the super soldier program, became Captain America, but sort of, like, had his soul shattered after, seeing all the war crimes and everything that were being committed in Afghanistan by U.S. troops and all of that stuff. I honestly, quick note, I honestly like that character. I like that they made a modern Captain America, and I like that they didn't shy away from how shitty we were in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the trauma that leaves on, the soldiers we sent over there to do all this evil shit. Unfortunately, in the recent Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon miniseries, this is what sucks. Remember the origin boxes from the Ultimate Universe? Well, Miles brought them all back to the 616, and now various people are getting them here in 616. Colton opened one, and now he can fly. He's super strong. We don't know right now. He either opened the origin box for Hyperion or the Sentry. We don't exactly know, but he's going on a tear across the country, just destroying super soldier program labs. Cause he's like, nobody should ever have to suffer like I did ever again. While they're doing that, the Avengers go, hey, we kind of need your help. We need to go fight a bunch of Hulks because Ross is sort of a terrorist. And that's where we leave off. So it's like, to be honest, I really liked that idea of the UN Secretary General being like, no super people, you all stay away. We need to do this for humanity. I think that's a really interesting angle, and it feels very Bendis-y. The problem is that it feels very Bendis-y, right? We already went through that sort of thing with the Superhuman Registration Act in Civil War, and in the aftermath of Secret Invasion, right before we got to the Heroic Age. And so it's like, okay, we've been here. And then with the main villains just being, more super soldier programs and more Hulks, right? That's what I was saying. It's like, it leans really hard on Marvel exclusive lore. Super soldier programs, gamma radiation, what it means to be Captain America. It just doesn't necessarily do anything. How many Marvel comics and movies and shows did I just describe with what I said, right? everything revolves around a super soldier these days. Everything in the 616, if there's a secret weapon, it's probably a Hulk, right? Like, it just, so it's like I can see what Chip is trying to do. He's absolutely trying to, you know, put the Marvel universe in this big overarching umbrella of a plot, of a direction. It just doesn't feel like we're doing anything new. It just feels like he's obviously he cites Bendis. It feels like he's trying to be specifically Bendis instead of just doing what Bendis would do. And that's unfortunate, because I think that, like, he's not wrong. We do need a direction. This just doesn't feel like we're doing anything with it, right? And then, you know, it starts to call into question, like, why isn't anybody arrested Red Hulk at this point? You know, after his stint with the Thunderbolts and the fact that he tried to kill Hulk and everybody, like, it just gets weird and stupid and falls back into the whole pit Andrew and I complain about all the time, which is, I'm sorry, Marvel, you guys kind of need a wipe. You need a crisis reset, which isn't to say you throw out everything, but we need to be able to, what's the right word? I had this in my head the other day, because a streamlined version, right? That's what I talk about all the time. You guys can see behind me tonight, I've got Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes on. In that show, right, they go from, like, Avengers meeting and fighting, and then the mass acts of vengeance and stuff, to, like, Secret Invasion, to all this, and they streamline the stuff from Marvel Comics, where they go, okay, this is all a good idea, this all worked, we don't really necessarily need that, you know, tie-in miniseries or that, and once you shave off some of the fat, you can get something really, really good. And I don't know, I don't know, guys. I don't know. This doesn't make me necessarily excited about anything. It's just another super soldier gone wrong plot. You've made it out of this 4 times before. You know what I mean? So, again, I feel like a genuine whore because I had to buy it for 2 copies. Like, one to put in my deck and one to put in a very nice case and hang on my wall and stuff. But, yeah, it's not here. So far. Not yet. And why do they keep giving Dyke Ruin really good assignments on terrible books? We got a Dyke Ruin Sue, but it's on Avengers Armageddon. What is wrong with that? Yeah, Reed, we don't need your help. We are fine with our coughing baby versus a walking nuke. Real smart decision. See, that's another thing too, is like, these arguments only work. Oh, or thank you, Shinkai, you actually just really linked it for me here. A lot of this plot only works and surprises and shocks if you haven't read anything Marvel for 30 years, right? Like, if you tapped out around Civil War, maybe this stuff might seem exciting to you. But even then, nah, not really. Even to the extent that, like, in the recent Captain America volume by Zdarsky, I was, like I just said, I was super in for the 9/11 Captain America storyline. The second they started linking it into, like, Doom and Latveria and Armageddon, I was out. I was just like, I don't care anymore. I truly just don't care anymore. But that's all we have for Avengers. We'll see where this goes, obviously, as the weeks continue on, whether it actually amounts to any real changes or 0 changes, House of Status Quo style. We shall see. But with that, let us jump over to DC, where we're going to start with some quick hits, and then we will get to our main attraction of Absolute Catwoman. So, the first quick hit for this week. We got a new issue of Supergirl. Hooray! Ooh, yay! We all know where foil variant currently stands on this book. Both of us, Andrew and I, were really excited. Sophie Campbell is a clear fan of Kara, very much knows her info when it comes to lore and history and personality. Not the greatest narrative writer. She would be an amazing, like #1 editor of all time. she's just not really cooking on the writing end. As you know, Andrew dropped this book a long time ago. I dropped the physical version. I've been getting a hookup from my Pakistani friend. And even with that, I just kind of, check in every week to flip through and see what's happening. And, you've all been here for my updates to Andrew, which is oftentimes nothing. Nothing really happens. To that end, the only reason I bring up this week's issue is because in the solicits, they were teasing, like, the return of Matrix, right? Like, Matrix is coming back to Supergirl. For those who don't remember or know what Matrix is, back in the, like, right after Crisis, like, after Supergirl dies, essentially just, like, a big blob of sort of ectoplasm, like a carbon protein ectoplasm, sort of gets imprinted with Supergirl's memories and stuff, and it merges with the Kryptonian regeneration matrix, and she returns. But she's not like Linda Danvers or Kara. She is Kara, but she's Matrix, which was this whole weird thing, which eventually it got retconned by Peter David in like 2000 by having Supergirl merge with a young woman named Linda Danvers, like the goo combined with her. And so Linda was Supergirl again. And it's a very, very complicated, a kind of fun read. It's a fun read in the sense that, like, it's sort of an absurd way they went with Supergirl, making her like ectoplasm and then like a literal, like, Yahweh, holy angel, chosen one. It's not necessarily the best time in her career, like in her existence, but it's super interesting because it's a super comic booky, like, what do we do with a character type of plot. And it's written by Peter David. So you can tell, like, he's like, that's a guy who knows what he's doing, a writer who knows how to handle any of this stuff. So he writes it well, but you're also sitting there going, like, this is crazy. Like, who this sold? Like, this is crazy. So it's in DC. It's in a DC Finest form. I definitely recommend people check that out if you want. But that Matrix mention was particularly exciting for me and Andrew, because we were like, oh, who else remembers Matrix? Like, that's such an obscure, weird bit of DC trivia. That's crazy. But in true Supergirl fashion, guys, Matrix herself, or like the Matrix entity, doesn't show up. All we get is Lena Luthor takes like the Matrix material and turns it into, like, essentially like a tokusatsu suit for Supergirl, where she can just, like, think, and it'll wrap onto her. And it gives her this costume, which, it's fine. I liked it a lot, like, when I first saw it, like, on the cover, I really like it. But then, like, the more I stare at it, something about it bugs me. And I'm, like, not entirely sure what it is that bugs. I think it might be the white bodysuit with the blue trunks. I think just something about that color setup, pardon me, is really throwing me off on the design. Otherwise, I'm not against it. I'm truly not against it. Either way, I was pissed off, because I'm like, talk about a bait and switch. And why are you bait and switching over Matrix? I am maybe one of like 2 people who fell for that bait. Was that really worth it? Like, so odd. However, I will give, shout out, the Thicktonian has returned. Lesla got her powers back while trapped in the Bottle City in Kandor. And so I'm just happy to have our Thick Queen back in action. That's the nicest thing I can say about this book this week. So thank you, DC, for somehow, like, can I even be mad at DC? I really feel like I should probably just be mad at myself. Like, your dumbass thought that, like, you were going to get real Matrix in 2026. Mav, you just said at the beginning of this little, like, quick hit that all of that Matrix stuff is admittedly ridiculous. So you know what? Fine. Let's say goodbye to the Thicktonian, and let's go to our next quick hit, which, as Clone Geek brought up at the beginning of the show, is Firestorm. So, Fury of Firestorm being written by Jeff Lemire, who is knocking it. It's so odd. Like, Lemire has been stinking it up to high heaven lately with JSA, and then what was the other thing he was writing? There was something else. I wish Andrew was here. He would be able to remind me. But he just hasn't been hitting the mark lately. And then you drop something like this, like a Fury of Firestorm. And it's like, it narratively, maybe this might be my favorite DC book right now after Superman proper, and like putting aside the Absolute stuff. Like, that's how good this is. And I think what this book tells me is with Lemire, you really need to let him. He's good at, like, you give him a concept and you tell him to push the limits of it, right? So like when he was doing Green Arrow, do a story about a guy who gets shipwrecked and has to train, and okay, he does that, but we got really violent and really savage and really dark into Ollie's psyche, right? Like during that whole run. Same here with Firestorm. Here's a guy who can transmute, elements. Okay, well, what if we just took away the human side of it? What would that do? Like, and so we get that. But then you look at like JSA, and I think because DC is like, no, you have to make, like, these are the characters, Lemire gets boxed in a little bit. And he goes, I'm not quite sure how to, grab interest on this. That's right. That's what, yes. He's on Absolute Flash. Absolute GL is Al Ewing, but it's Absolute Flash. That's the one I was thinking of. Right. Where, again, I don't know what happened with that book. That feels like it should have been one of these, where he had Wally, he had Flash blow it open, and it felt like he started to, and then DC said, no, we can't do any of that. And I have no idea why, but all of that aside, like, this book is just crazy good, but there is one curiosity I want to bring up to you guys, especially with Andrew still in the room. So this opening moment, if you guys remember the last issue, and so right now, Firestorm, minus any human side to him, is kind of just running roughshod over a small town. He is he's turned the entire, town, people included, living things, into crystal. He's ignoring, military warnings. They're threatening nukes, and he just is waving them off. So they send in, I don't even know what they say it's the Justice League. It's probably, a united detachment. However, as I brought up with Andrew last time, I really I'm headcanoning this as this is the second incarnation of the Justice, the true pure one, because it's got successors and then stand-ins, because you have a team made up of Kara, who's your Superman, Kyle, your Green Lantern, Wally West, your Flash, then you have your Wonder Woman stand-in, female warrior, hot girl. Then you have your brooding, intelligent detective stand-in with with Martian Manhunter instead of Batman. Such a good lineup. And yet, Firestorm, this is how crazy strong he is right now, where, he just dismantles them all by standing there and transmuting everything. So for Hawk Girl, he transmutes her nth metal mace into flower, which is insane on its own, and then deprives the nth metal of its properties, transmutes the nth metal in her wings into just stone. Then Wally, he just straight up takes all the heat out of his body so that he just instantly freezes. With John, just casually blows him away with a burst, lights them all on fire. Here's the curious part, and maybe it's because I'm out of the loop on current GL. It's been a while since I've read either core or the main book. Kyle gets disabled here by his ring getting encased in a yellow light. I don't know what is happening here, so he gets it encased, he's screaming, and then he's just on the ground. Not against him being defeated, that's the whole point of Firestorm. I just yellow light has not been a GL weakness in 30 years, 40 years. No, way back in the 90s, right? Okay, so that's almost 40 years. So I don't think it's that. But then I don't understand how transmutation could knock out like Kyle. Like what's he doing to him? And I don't know. And they don't explain it, which is a little unfortunate. Not a big thing. I just wanted to put that out there for anybody who read it themselves or, you know, is seeing this page now. Hit me with your theories, because I have no idea. And then, yeah, with Supergirl, he literally just transmutates the air around her into kryptonite. And that ends her. Like, he's so crazy powerful. And here's the rub of it all, right? This is a really, really, really good story. The crux of it, however, centers on the Doomsday Clock reveal that, you know, Martin Stein, Dr. Ivo, Niles Calder, T.O. Morrow, the Metal Men creator, all of the prominent DC scientists were responsible for something called like Project Superman, which was an attempt by like the government to make their own version of Superman, right? And if you guys remember in Doomsday Clock, that whole bit was like revealed as a scandal. It's what sets up the whole confrontation between every superpowered being in the world and Doc Manhattan at the very end of the comic, right? Because everybody starts going, well, is Superman supposed to be a weapon? Was he created? And there's suspicion and paranoia. And yeah, like everybody's illusion is shattered. So in Fury of Firestorm, the entire crux of this is that we learn, or like the revelation is, yes, Martin Stein was involved in the Firestorm experiment or the Project Superman stuff. However, like right now, as we understood it before this issue, the Ronnie Raymond Stein origin was basically Ronnie Raymond was a mediocre physics student, volunteered to help out and be the TA to Professor Stein at university. One day he shows up for like a demonstration of his Firestorm Matrix. They discover that like eco-terrorists have planted a bomb within the lab. Stein tries to protect Ronnie from it as it blows up on them. The explosion like engulfs both of them and the Firestorm Matrix, fuses them all together. Bada bing, bada boom, Firestorm. Now that origin still kind of exists, but we learn that Stein specifically like groomed Ronnie to be Firestorm. Like he met Ronnie with an ulterior motive, and he's like, oh, this is the like he knew Firestorm needed two people to control it, and he went, oh, this kind of idiot, he's perfect, right? Like he's pure-hearted, and then I can manipulate him however I need. Like, so then it turns out that the bomb that fused them all together wasn't planted by eco-terrorists, but by Stein. Like Stein forced all of this. And so the big revelation that Flamebird, which I'm really happy she's around. I like seeing very obscure characters get a moment in the sun every once in a while, right? Hashtag Jimmy Watch. But that's what Stein kind of reveals to Flamebird, who is investigating everything. He reveals that Ronnie learned the truth, and he became so pissed that he ejected Martin Stein from the Matrix. And so now, like, it's just Ronnie. But then, as we know from the last issue, from the dramatic like irony of it all, we know that Ronnie, he's like in the Matrix, but it's sort of like a dream state. Like he doesn't understand, or really, it's like Get Out, right? Like he's in there, but he's been shoved into a pit of like happiness and like nice memories that keeps him distracted, while the Matrix itself lets loose. And so that's where I say, like, I get a little torn here on the series itself, because I think this is like, it's a good series. And personally, I think that's a very, very interesting, pretty surprising twist to put on like a character from the 70s who has kind of always been a little happy-go-lucky. The problem I run into, like in my feelings and stuff, is like, did we need to do this with Firestorm? Did we need to make Martin Stein so evil, right? Like, I think we could have still done something with, you know, oh, I selected him, there's an ulterior motive. But going so far as to like intentionally blow up Ronnie to do this stuff, and then it feels like quite a stretch and a big retcon for an otherwise sort of more gentle character that, like, I'm kind of torn. I think I need to see how it all settles, like once the dust settles, because on one hand, like, I like this. This to me is one of those good, like, you're putting a new element here into the guy's lore, because yeah, that kind of updates it, makes it new and exciting, and makes sense. But then on the other, I'm like, I don't know, like, Firestorm just doesn't seem. I don't like, and maybe that's the magic of it, is that it has to be a character as so non-consequential and like happy-go-lucky, as I said, as Firestorm. You know what I mean? So I'm torn on the decision to do this with Stein and Ronnie, but I like what we're doing with it. And so far, I'm completely behind it. Let's see where it goes, right? Like, I genuinely have no expectations with this book, because I forgot it was coming out with DC Next Level, and I didn't expect anything by Lemire to actually entertain me this much. So everything here is like a cherry on top, if you will. All right, let's see. All right. I need some water, actually. All right, second quick hit, which we will probably talk, or like third quick hit, right? Yeah, which we'll probably talk more about with Andrew when he gets here. But new issue of Emperor Aquaman. I just wanted to highlight that with Arthur finally having like access to the blue, as he's gained in recent months, this feels like the Aquaman we've all known he could be, if you will, right? Where pop culture for the longest time was, like, Aquaman talks to fish, blah, 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 blah. Fans, right? Like, we all kind of knew, like, yeah, okay, like the Super Friends made him kind of lame, but he has the potential. Like, you guys don't understand what Aquaman really is. And so with the blue upgrade, I think that finally gave DC the right excuse or the right reason to finally give us, like, this is Aquaman, because he, like, essentially he has to, him and Hal go to confront an entire armada of enemy spaceships who have banned Aquaman from connecting this one particular water planet to the blue and into all the portals, right? So they're all bearing down on them, and Aquaman just leaps into the ocean, and he just starts, he summons rain. First of all, he just, like, creates rain. He talks to the blue and makes it rain. Then he's able to freeze the rain into, like, ice spikes as they rain down on everything. Then he uses the water to, like, batter, like, a bunch of the ships away. Then he uses it to propel himself through one of the ships like a missile. And then he, like, turns all the errant water that's splashing around into, like, blades, and essentially just dices everybody up. Who was that? Black Adam, or Absolute Black Adam, Absolute Ra's al Ghul style, right? And then he just goes, we're done here. Let's go home. And it's fucking cool. And, like, I don't know, man. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, Aquaman, finally! Like, let's see more of this. And then, yeah, quick, Andrew and I always say this, but the fact that Adams is able to give us this, like, moving along narrative of Arthur and the blue and all that stuff, while still making each issue pretty much a self-contained story, it's very impressive. And this is going to be maybe not as strong as John's run, but I think this one will go down as maybe the third best after Peter David. Yeah, Tex and Cap. First of all, what's up, Tex? He says, I loved Firestorm since I was a kid. It's funny. I liked him, but because I'm a bit younger, the Firestorm I actually grew up with and I knew was Jason Rush, the black guy who fuses with Martin Stein. So I remember, like, it was fun. Like, I had that, like, wait, Green Lantern's white moment when after Infinite Crisis they brought back, like, Ronnie, and then they had Ronnie fusing with Jason, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. But no, I've always liked Firestorm. I always like the dynamic of his character where one of them is in control and can do everything, but the other has the knowledge. And then, so he'll be like, oh, the formula for salt is NaCl. And then Ronnie has to like think about how to shift the app. It's just always seemed like a cool power set, especially because it's one of those ones that like, yeah, you could use for like Silver Age goofiness where it's like, oh no, the robbers are driving away really fast. I turned the concrete road into ice or whatever, right? Now they'll slide to justice. Or you can have like Fury of the Firestorm where everybody just turns into dust at a flicker of a thought, right? So yeah, very cool. I love Firestorm. I'm really happy he's still around. Although I will say, I miss when this thing on his suit, like this, as he has it now, where it's just like a design, like on the spandex, that's how it's always been. Like for sure. There was a small period, like in that Infinite Crisis era, where the Matrix was like a physical, like metal thing that went on their chest and like extended out. I kind of like that. And like, you know, the ability to like, they even had the Superman ability where they could like open it and be like, yeah, let's go. So it's just a design choice. I like that. That little, I don't know, that's the anime in me, right? Tech says, I'm getting the new one, but haven't read it yet. Man, like I said, this book, if you like Firestorm, you're gonna love it. Especially if you like, and like, I know, you know, I checked out some of your stuff, Texan. I read your comments to us. I think you're really gonna like it when you read it. Again, I can only say that with 3 issues having come out. So if issue 4 goes off the rails, if issue 6 has the worst retcon of all time and reveals that like, because, okay, so this is so dumb. Jason Rush reveals in this issue that he can't help Flamebird because he got like, he's going to be a dad. His girlfriend's pregnant. And I just have this thought. It's like, what if in issue 6, it's like the Firestorm Matrix disassembles the baby in Jason's girlfriend's body and then reassembles it in Lois Lane's, but he gives it the DNA of Batman. And now we have canonized Snyderverse. No, it sounds terrible. Yeah, right? Andrew agrees. The Firestorm Matrix definitely looks cooler as a separate part of the suit for me. Right? Like, I like this. Like, I get this one. That's your original design. It's all good. Nothing wrong with it. That extra piece made it feel like a natural evolution to it. And yeah, like you said, just looked cool. All right, let's see. We are coming up on our normal 2-hour limit, but I think we can go a little over because I think it is important for us to hit probably the most anticipated book of the week. Like I said at the beginning of the show, this book, Absolute Catwoman, caused such a stir, such an excitement that my shop was packed to the gills when I showed up at 10 a.m. Like, people wanted this book. No surprise there, given how overall damn strong the Absolute line has been. Easily the weakest one being Flash, but then it's like Absolute Flash, womp up, 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 Green Lantern, and then this is for me here. It's like Green Lantern. Well, no, Green Arrow under that, but that's only one issue in. Then it's like Green Lantern, then Superman, then Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Batman. And Batman and Wonder Woman continually like flip for me. But with the absolute momentum that the Absolute Universe has right now, it's no surprise that people wanted to get in on the Catwoman game. I was also talking to Andrew about this yesterday. She also exists organically in one of those very, very perfect like marketing spots, right? Because one, she's an absolute like take on an established character, so you're going to get all of us comic nerds. She's a sexy comic book character, so you're going to get all of us horny comic nerds. You know, male and female alike. She is like coming from a well-written line. But then, as I pointed out to Andrew, because she is Cuban compared to her like Italian Prime Earth counterpart, and because, you know, this is a female-led book, she's also going to get a lot of like organic interest and excitement from those audiences who put those kind of identity politics sort of at the forefront of their enjoyment, of their interest. You know, when they go, the kind who go, oh, we got to go support this because it's, you know, directed by an Asian person or written by a woman. they're going to jump on this. And I only bring that up and I say that like it exists at this perfect point because at no time has Snyder or DC ever, or Che Grayson, who also is the co-writer, or Scott Snyder wrote like the overall like plot. Che Grayson is writing like the on the ground, actual page by page, how it all plays out. Neither of them nor DC have really gone, look, we have strong female, minority lead. It's great. Everybody come buy this book. It's so important. They just went, Absolute Catwoman. You know what the fuck this is. Get in on this. And so people did. I mean, I did my part. I bought the standard A foil variant along with, I mean, how could we not, right? Souza Micah gave us a beautiful, like, Selena variant. Obviously, the book, it's already gone, actually, to second print. They've already announced that it's going to get a second print. One of the foil variant for that second print is going to be the Kara Andrews, the pink one. Looks kind of cool. I'll have to see what it is in my hand. Although now that I think about it, thinking back to that one X-Men United variant with Emma, Psylocke, and Rogue on it, that I like snagged because of the really nice like hot pink foiling. That pink Kara Andrews cover, I probably will jump on. Like I'll see it in person on the shelf and be like, I'm cooked. I'm done. I got to do this. But that aside, covers aside, Absolute Catwoman number 1. Let's see. How do we start here? So at this point, we've all been introduced to Absolute Selena. She grew up as an orphan along with Bruce and the rest of the Gotham gang, was romantically involved with Bruce ever since they were sort of like, young adults, young teenagers, had a splitting apart with Bruce at some point due to sort of their outlooks, their missions in life going a different way. Obviously, it's a split between I want to do good and the only way to survive anymore is by, being a criminal, is by stealing. So despite that, we know that Selena and Bruce are still somewhat allies. She helped him out during the Bane fight, one of my favorite panels of all time, where Bats calls in like, do it. And she's got the UMP and she's like shooting the venom darts to overload Bane. And she says something like, you got it, honey, or like, you got it, sugar, or something. And she's like, boom, boom, boom. Great panel. Great character. With that, we open into Absolute Catwoman, where essentially the setup is we learn a couple things. Or, man, how do I go through that? Like, let me think for a second about how to explain this. In the meantime, Andrew says that Sozo cover is crazy. Dude, this is one of the few where I would have been like, if you foiled the back and it was just like the silver foil like they do on the they did on the all-in variant, like the corner box variants, I probably would have done it. But let's see. So this issue kind of gives us a lay of the land on Absolute Selena as we know her now. She is living in London. She is attempting to put her life of crime behind her. She's genuinely trying to move on. However, somehow the members of her old gang, which I really like this bit because you can see here, there's a Catwoman who looks like the Prime Earth Catwoman, crawling into this apartment and trying to steal something. However, we discover that it's not our Catwoman. It's just another thief who we learn there's a gaggle of them, and they're from Selena's old crew. I forget what they're called. The Calicos, right? So love that little kind of cheekiness there where they take like the Prime Earth thing and we go, oh, we recognize that, but it's not just her costume. It's the whole, it's a gang costume. I can totally get behind that. I thought that was fun. We get a very good action shot here of Selena showing off both like her combat agility and her skills with her weapon and how it works. And in her thought bubbles, she's giving quick little explanations. It feels good. How do I put this? It feels inspired by the Absolute Wonder Woman paneling, right? Where Hayden Sherman does all those crazy inset panels to show Diana flipping or fighting or whatever. So this is by Bengal. Bengal's a great artist. I don't think he pulled it off exactly as strong as Hayden would, but I like that he did it. And I think, all the credit in the world for, it doesn't look terrible. Don't get me wrong. This is still a great piece. Doesn't quite capture the Hayden levels, but I think, you know, the more people start doing this, this is what I would like to see more of, until it gets oversaturated. And in like 3 months, you'll probably hear me going, shut up. Like, I'm tired of it. So at the end of their struggle, her penthouse explodes, and we get a sort of flashback to where Selena is. We discover she has her own cat cave. We learned that as a kid, she, you know, grew up in the foster system. Her parent, like her foster dad, was abusive, but not like in a sexual way, just like very shitty to her, because he really only wanted her for the paycheck, right? Like the foster stipend. And because of that, it kind of gave her a little freedom, because she's like, you can't do anything to me, because if you do, then you lose the money. And I know you're in gambling debts, so haha, I'm out of here. And that's where we learn, you know, she kind of had to set out on her own, steal away. She had a family at one point, and that's sort of like a big sticking point to her, which I thought there was like a sadness to this, right? Where she says, I have no possessions you can steal from me. Like, I have one thing I consider valuable, and it's a family photo from before I left Cuba of me with like 10 cousins and aunts and grandmas and like all my family. And there are signatures from all of them saying like, we will come find you. But they never did. So now when I look at that letter, I don't see like 10 people I love, 10 hope, like 10 pieces of hope. I see 10 broken promises. And I'm just like, oh shit, like that's good. But with that, in an attempt to, you know, she's trying to move on. She's trying to live her own life now. She has a penthouse under an assumed name, laying low. And yet one of her old gang members manages to surprise her on her birthday. And it is none other than Holly Robinson, or the absolute Holly Robinson, I should say, who some of you might remember as the successor Catwoman back in the 1 year later era of Prime Earth. She, you know, shows up. She asks Selena for help with one last job, but it is at that moment that, like, Catwoman discovers, oh, Holly left something in this cake for me that she brought. Obviously, people are coming after it. What do I do? And so that, you know, we flash back to the present, and we see that from the explosion, I'm only pointing the scene out because I actually like winced, because Catwoman gets blown out of her penthouse. She says in that first panel, like, I'm falling too fast. I'm at terminal velocity. My chutes and stuff won't open in time. She still does it, but then she like lands, and in panel 2, she's like audibly like screaming. And that to me, I'm just like, oh, she just like crunched, like that chute didn't do anything. She really just flipped down and landed straight on her legs. And she dislocates her shoulder, breaks her ankle. And at this point, it's pure adrenaline. But then we get she gets to bust out the, what did she call this? Her bike is called the Wildcat, which I thought, again, good absolute twist on a Prime Earth concept. Instead of Ted Grant, we have the Wildcat motorcycle. So she starts chasing the Calico gang, who have also kidnapped Holly from in front of her. Big, you know, explosive situation. They're driving down the street. The gang leader detonates a bunch of bombs to build debris, or like to make a debris wall so Selena can't follow. And that's when we go super ultimate or absolute universe, where the Wildcat reveals itself that it's not just a bike, it's like a Mechazoid mount, which I think is just the coolest fucking idea. Because then, yeah, Selena can use it to like jump around, but then it like transforms really fast back into a bike. Someday we're going to see this shit animated, and I'm going to lose my mind. And it's going to be the only thing I talk about for like a week. But from there, we have, Selena trying to stop the gang leader. They come into a hand-to-hand combat fight, which unfortunately the gang leader wins. Kind of. She wins the physical fight, but Selena reveals that the entire reason she kind of threw the fight was to steal back this gem orb. We don't exactly know what it is yet, but our Deus Ex Machina, if you will. And then, of course, from there, we get the big reveal that the gang leader wasn't just someone. It was actually Absolute Cassandra Cain, Batgirl herself, who, on the heels of this issue, we did get the announcement that Cassandra will be getting her own Absolute series from series writer Shea Grayson, right? The tease implies, so it's really funny. Andrew and I saw this announcement yesterday and went, wow, what are they going to do with, Cassandra Cain? Because are they, do they properly incorporate her into the Robin lore and say that she was one of Jack Grimm's like orphanage kids, that maybe he went too far, or maybe he couldn't fully control or something? And we were like, that could be cool, but it's also like safe, but you also can't just have her be like a weird, like on her own. We were kind of like, might be cool. We have no idea how this is going to go. However, with the reveal here in Absolute Catwoman, and then in the like sales or the solicit blurb for Cassandra, basically we learn, as we did in, what was that, Absolute Batman 14, that during his training and travels, at one point, Jack Grimm trained with the League of Shadows. With that, he met Lady Shiva, Cassandra Cain. They're playing the Cassandra Cain angle entirely from the League of Assassins. And I'm kind of here for that. Let's see, right? Like, let's see what happened, or like what the Absolute universe does with that angle. Because I'm not against it. I just, at this point, an Absolute Cassandra Cain is easily one of the things that I could go, that I view and I go, that could be great, or it could be terrible. It kind of just depends on, what the execution is. Yes, Shinkai. Shinkai brings up that with Absolute Catwoman, the helmet is exceptionally reminiscent of, hold on, I just got to pull the issue back up. Come on, go back. The Durarara helmet, right? Of Celti's helmet. I always think that too. Celti's got a great helmet. And overall, I really like this Catwoman design. I also like the fact that like her tail isn't like a whip. She explains that like she basically controls it with like brain signals. And I'm like, whatever, it's comic books. That's cool. I'm entirely here for it. Somehow the gang returned. Don't ask me, man. Don't ask me. And then Tex says, I don't believe I bothered picking up Absolute Catwoman. Again, I don't blame you, because if you're not a big cat, like, not every book is going to hit for everybody, right? I mean, we all bought into the Trinity because that was like the big first releases. I know Andrew doesn't, check out Martian Manhunter or Green Lantern. Both he and I are like, Absolute Green Arrow's fine. Maybe it'll be cool. And then, yeah, with Absolute Catwoman, I don't even know if Andrew picked it up because he just doesn't like Catwoman. So I'm not going to sit here and go like, oh, you guys are idiots for not picking it up, or like, man, you have bad taste, because your taste are your taste. All I will say is that if you happen to read Catwoman and you're approaching it with intellectual honesty and, a fair view, it's not a bad comic book. Regardless. I'm not saying you have to like it, but again, credit where credit is due. It's fun. It's got some elements. Let's see where it goes. You know what I mean? All right. With that, what do we have here? I guess that's all I really have for Ultimate Catwoman. I'm so excited about the Wildcat over here, though. Like, I cannot tell a lie. Let's see. But with that, guys, I think that's all I truly have for this week. Yeah, no Andrew, of course, so it's on me. Let's see. Tex says, if I didn't, it's because I'm getting absoluted out and they're going off the rails a bit. They kind of are, and how do I put this? We're at that very teetering spot, right, Tex, where we know it's popular and they're doing really well with it. And I'll say this, like, the expansions we've gotten have made some sense, right? Like Absolute Martian Manhunter, Flash, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. But like, once we start getting to Green Arrow and now Catwoman, I see what you're saying, where it's like, let's be careful here, guys. Let's not start going so hard into Absolute that everybody starts doing something, and now the very tight narrative we had is completely blown apart, right? We don't want to be going into the Marvel sort of direction of writing. So I definitely see what you're saying. And again, not saying you have to go pick it up or even to go rush out and pick it up. It's not that great of an issue. Just that if you do, you'll probably enjoy it. Yeah, Andrew says, I grabbed the Sozo cover since it's the #1 and to see if I like this Selena more than Prime Earths. That's a good question. I don't know if you've read it yet, and I'm trying to think, like, if I had to guess, what would I say? But you know what? I'm not going to guess because Andrew will be back with us next week for Foil Variant, and we can ask Andrew, hey, Andrew, do you like Absolute Catwoman better than you like Canon Catwoman? Because Canon Catwoman is... Never have I seen a man react so viscerally to any mention of Catwoman at any time. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, guys, with that, we're hitting up on our 2:15 mark. I think it's a pretty good time to cut it for tonight. So first of all, I want to thank every single one of you for coming and hanging out with me tonight, coming and getting your dose of intellectually honest comic book talk, from Tex NCAP to Shinkai to Punk to Timon to Clone Geek. We look forward to seeing you next week, and hopefully I'll have some more exciting foil variant related things to show off next week. Fingers crossed I can get it all done. Let's see. As we get out of here, it is important that we highlight, because the Joik is not here himself. Where's all my fancy graphics? Where are all my fancy graphics? I made all of these for a reason. Where's my... I literally had the Blue Shift, like, promo thing open. Where did it go? Oh, well. Well, I have it back now. So we will go to... Boom. All right, guys. #1. Go to Rippaverse.com. Get your pre-orders in for Arcstream Fall Start #1. As the graphic I made over here lets you know, July 26th or 24th is the final order cutoff. So that's only about like a month and a half away. So make sure you get your pre-orders in, and you know, because like they're not going to do the thing where you go, oh, I missed it. Do you have an extra one sitting around? Do you have any that fell behind? Don't even try. Like, get your pre-orders in if you want it, or you're going to have to wait for an omnibus or a reprint, which you should also buy anyway to support Andrew, but I digress. So, Arcstream Fall Start #1 over there at Rippa. Let's see, where is the promo graphic I had for this? Did I delete it? No, I shouldn't have deleted it. Let me check really quick, guys, just because it doesn't feel right to sign off without it. One sec. Where's my recycle bin? Pop that up. Pop it up. Maybe. No? Okay. Recycle bin doesn't want to work right now. So instead, I will just say, where is this? Yeah. All right, we have it. Oh, I brought it up, and okay, I completely lost it. But Room of Requirement, go. Room of Requirement. Andrew and Mary's Harry Potter lore channel. Got the link right here. Lots of great production going on over there. New videos all the time. Really ramping up ahead of the HBO Max series debuting this Christmas. So go check them out. Go subscribe. Go hit that bell and all that fun stuff. Andrew, I have that graphic somewhere. It's lost among everything that I need to organize. I'll make a better one. I'll make one that looks super, super cool. Let's see. All right. Well, okay. We should sign off, but I did realize I didn't come back to this. So Shinkai, I don't even know if you're around, but I will answer it. Shinkai asked, what's more bizarre? Characters going to the far past, example, a hero becoming a knight, or characters going to the far future, like Sherlock 22nd Century and Rocket Robin Hood? I think, to me, it's more bizarre seeing them go into the past, because when they come from the past into the future, it's like shell shock, like, whoa, holy crap. Like, you know, Cap in Avengers going, Times Square. But then you see them like adapt, and, you know, like Sherlock Holmes is still a really good detective with and even better with all that future tech. And like Robin Hood was already a great archer and hero, but then you give him a jetpack and he's still Robin Hood. It's more absurd to me, like you send like Iron Man back into medieval times, and it's like, oh shit, how does a guy who completely relies on modern conveniences survive? And then if I want to like break the Grant Morrison rule and actually start thinking about like, you know, who pumps up the Batmobile's tires, I get into this is like the one time it's fun for me where it's like, okay, but if Cap or Tony or Spidey goes back in time, like the food's going to be like indigestible. The water will probably kill you because it's not, you know, treated and all that sort of stuff. So again, that's just being like nitpicky. I wouldn't necessarily want to see that in a comic, but it's a fun sort of SNL joke, if you will, right? But with that, guys, right. Arcstream False Start, ripaverse.com, go pre-order that. Rumor Requirement right here on YouTube. Foil Variant, hit all the buttons. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We have a Twitch channel where we are broadcasting tonight, so you can go check us out over there now. Yeah, I said Discord, so yeah, follow us all over there. As for me, like I said, Mav streams, GMU, all that fun stuff coming back next week. I'm going to be spending today, tomorrow, the rest of the weekend finishing out all the connections, all the tech stuff so that I don't boomer it up when I come back to you guys. We'll get back to, and so yeah, when I come back, we'll do a lot of, GMUs, which are just chatting, as you guys know, more video game streams. There's a lot of superhero games I want to play that I don't know if you guys have and I want to share with everyone. So yeah, lots of stuff coming down the pipe in the future. Hopefully you guys will watch us, you'll support us, you'll join us. Same bat time, same bat channel next week for Foil Variant. Yeah, that was I don't know why I stuttered there, but I'll get out of here. I'll stop mumbling into your, or rambling into your ears. Take it easy, everyone. And remember, the solicit copy is the sales copy. You have to read the issue for the full story. All right, take it easy, everyone.
Never before have we had greater face a complex, rapidly changing world. Think of it a moment.
It is a world in which supersonic speeds are commonplace. It is a world that has seen the coming of the atomic bomb. It has seen the rise of the total state, the dictator, and the mass man. It is a world of new sensations, new excitements, new distractions.
So much to be learned by so many in so little time.
And I suppose you're here with no agenda, as per usual?
On the contrary, I'm here for comics. What kind of man are you anyway? I'm talking comics and you bring up chicks and romance?